In Circadians First Light, players are researchers who just landed on an alien planet brimming with life not unlike our own. You quickly open negotiations with the 3 clans you've discovered on the planet while researching plant life, building farms and ships, and fulfilling contracts. Players will manage a crew of workers represented by dice, and each round these workers will be rolled and then used on their own player board to farm resources or go out on ships and rovers to explore areas of the planet for trade, building, and more. Each player will have a leader or leaders who give that player a specific advantage that is unique to them. Every round begins with an event that will impact the game state for the round either negatively or positively. Players will then roll their dice behind their screens and assign dice to farms and garages. Once everyone makes their selections, they reveal their research boards, and then players take turns activating one die placed in a garage until everyone has passed for the round. Most locations will help players gain new resources and build out their presence on the planet. Players can move their harvester around the planet to find rich sources of materials. Players can build ships to add to their garages that will help them mitigate their dice rolls or make costs cheaper. The laboratory allows farms to be built, which gives players more opportunity to keep a steady supply of resources coming in, whether it be energy, water, or algae. Gems are a very valuable resource which will often be granted by moving your harvester around the map board or by visiting the mining camp. Many spaces out on the planet require specifically numbered dice to activate, so getting the right dice to the right space is vital. Players must remember one of their goals is to use the samples found on the planet to craft contracts which will give an in-game benefit or an endgame scoring opportunity. Peace is the ultimate goal, however, so negotiations with the clans found on the planet is a great way to score points. When going to the negotiation board, players can turn in resources to work with a specific clan. If this dice value is the first one used on the negotiation board, players gain an advancement and can move an incident marker to the bonus of their choice. If too many folks negotiate with the same clan, however, setbacks can occur based on the cumulative value of all dice placed on the clan when you go to negotiate. When choosing a space to place your incident marker here, you lose whatever's depicted rather than gain it. Always when negotiating, the die used will remain on the board permanently, so you need to find ways to replace dice as the game goes. Crafting contracts at the depository will also permanently lose you dice. Once all players have sent out dice from garages, we move on to the harvest phase. Here, players will activate any dice they place on their farm spaces. Most farms will provide resources based on the value of the die placed, the higher the better. Some farm tiles provide resources passively and require no dice to be placed. Players' harvesters also produce resources based on their location on the planet, with the outermost spaces providing the largest amounts of resources. After 7 rounds, players score points for completed contract cards, including any bonus points for endgame scoring conditions, points from the negotiation board, how well they filled out their research board, and finally for any leftover gems which are worth a point apiece. The player with the highest score wins. The Specialist expansion allows players to explore even more opportunities with new leader cards, contracts, events, and 2 new clans which are discovered that players can now negotiate with. Each player will now be able to unlock specialists represented by pipless dice. These workers can do all the things normal workers can, however they can choose the value they represent at all times. Each player will now have an outpost with a special action which can be used by them or by other players. When an opponent's specialist visits your outpost, you gain some bonus resources, but they gain access to a special action that will be more powerful than the standard actions in the game. Everything in the Specialist expansion provides players with new avenues to explore their ultimate quest of learning, research, and peace.